Hey guys, welcome back. I'm about a week late with this one, but today I'll be filming my what I read in February video. And February was definitely a huge month because I did set a goal or a challenge for myself to read at least one manga per day. So that equated to about 28 volumes. And while I didn't quite read one manga every day, there were some days that I read more volumes than others. I did eventually end up reading my 28 volumes for February. So I believe this is probably my biggest month as far as reading manga goes, and it was pretty nice. I got to read a bunch of different series, which I'll be talking about today. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So in the end of January, I was finishing up a series. In January, I read 4 more volumes for this one, volumes 5 through 8. And then those were the last 4 volumes that I read for January. And then in February, I finished it up with the rest of the volumes that I had, which were volumes, this is in the wrong order, but volumes 9 through 12 of the quintessential quintuplets. And this one continues to be one of my favorite series that I'm reading so far. I'm just having a lot of fun with it. I really do love all of the Nakano sister. We got Miku here, which is best girl for me. Yotsuba in volume 10, which she started off as one of my least favorite, but she's slowly becoming a sister that I do respect, and I am starting to enjoy her a lot more, especially in these last couple of volumes. Then we got Itsuki on volume 11. She's always been kind of the neutral sister. I've never disliked her or just loved her. She was always kind of in the middle. So yeah, that's Itsuki here. And then finally in volume 12, we got the man, the myth, the legend that was able to get all of these sisters to fall for him, Uesugi-kun. And in this volume, he's finally deciding that he's gonna make a decision on which one of these sisters he's gonna choose to, I guess, date and eventually marry, as we have found out in some of the other volumes, or we already know. I guess since volume 1, we've known he's gonna marry one of these. It's just been a mystery all this time trying to figure out who he's gonna marry. As you can tell, I love all of these characters, and as far as these volumes go, volume 9 definitely slowed down a bit after volume 8. Volume 8 being one of my favorite volumes in the entire series. But I did rate volume 9 slightly lower again. It went back down to an 8. Still really enjoyable though, and I read this a while back, so I don't quite remember even what happened in this volume. But I do remember the rest of these. Volume 10, we kind of covered their trip to Kyoto here, which that was really fun to read because when I went to Japan back in January of 2020, before everything happened with the pandemic, my wife and I actually visited Japan, and it was pretty awesome to just go back and revisit those locations in Kyoto. We did go and visit the Kiyomizudera temple. I think that's the right name for it. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to read through. So I went slightly back up and rated this one an 8.125. And pretty much from there on out, the rest of these volumes, I rated them the same. None of these quite reached up the levels of volume 8 anymore, but it's still really good. It's kind of leading up to the climax. We're getting to the end game here of Uesugi-kun choosing the girl he's gonna end up with. And in volume 11, it was a little bit fan servicey-ish, which I don't mind, especially with the Nakano sisters, since I do love all of them. It was a summer break, so we did get to see them in their swimsuit attire. So that one was a fun read. And then in volume 12, we had like a school festival, and Uesugi-kun finally got them all together, and yeah, he's told them that he's gonna choose one of them. It did end in kind of like a cliffhanger-ish, so I hate them for that, because now I have to wait for volume 13, which did get pushed back, so I have to wait another month for that one. It should have been released, I think it was supposed to be released already, or like in the middle of March. Now it's not going to be released until, I think, the end of March. I don't remember. I'll put a card or a picture here to show you guys what the release date is. But yeah, loving this series. And overall, the series as a whole so far, volumes 1 through 12, is rated as a 7.8 out of 10. So yeah, can't wait to get the last 2 volumes and finish this series up. Like I mentioned in my last review, I'm pretty sure I'll be happy with the ending because I love all the Nakano sisters, and whoever he ends up with, I'm pretty sure I'll be content with his decision. But hopefully he chooses Miku or Nino. Alright guys, next up, after that I did read Volume 1 of Shed That Skin Ryugasaki-san, and I'm not gonna lie guys, I did not enjoy this one. In fact, this has been my least favorite read since I started reading manga. Yeah, for me it just wasn't very enjoyable. I mean, in the story, there wasn't too much of a story. Let me show you guys this here. Just look at how many chapters there is in here. There's 21 chapters in 1 volume, and that kind of just tells you how rushed everything feels. Like the whole first half, all the first couple of chapters is just the main character discovering new abilities of Ryugasaki-san. She does kind of have the characteristics of a lizard. She is sort of like a lizard girl. She's not quite human. They call her here that she is a lizard girl due to her unique biological makeup. So she sheds her skin, which the main character seems to have a fetish on that, which was kind of weird. And when she discovered him that he was keeping the skin that she was shedding and creating an image of her from that shed skin, anyone would be grossed out, weirded out. And she just kind of called him a pervert, but then she went on to still continue and date this guy. And then the art itself, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the art either. It's really like a lot of whites here. They didn't really utilize many blacks. I kind of like more the darker style artwork. I like it when they use a lot of shading and stuff like that. So wasn't a huge fan of the art either. So yeah, I really didn't enjoy this one, and I ended up giving it the lowest score so far that I've given a manga. It ended up averaging a 5.125 out of 10. So yeah, I definitely won't be keeping this one, and I will be posting it up for Mercari. So if you guys are somehow so yeah, if you guys are interested, I'll have a link down below to my store. And yeah, let's move on to the next series. Alright, so after reading that horrible manga, thankfully the next series I read ended up being one of my favorites, and that manga being Happiness. This manga is complete with volumes 1 through 10, and this was my first Shuzo Oshimi work, and man, it just got me hyped for more of his series. I already have a lot of them. I plan to read The Flowers of Evil in this month, the month of March. So we'll see how that one compares to this one. But man, I really love this one. And it could be because I've always been a sucker for vampire stories. And this one was just really good. However, I don't want to talk too much about it because I am planning on doing a review for this one. In fact, in the future, I want to make reviews for series that are complete. So like this one, it is complete with 10 volumes. So yeah, starting from now, whenever I complete a series, I will be making a separate video just reviewing that series. So I'll go more into depth into why I loved it. But here I can tell you what I gave it as a score. And my final rating for this series ended up being an 8.75 out of 10. So yeah, really great, loved it, and definitely would recommend it to anyone who hasn't read it, or anyone who hasn't read any Shuzo Oshimi titles. I would definitely recommend him as well. I haven't read his other ones, but I'm sure they're just as great. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next series. Next series I read, I believe I read these two on the same day, but I did read Failed Princesses first, and then Our Teachers Are Dating. I did put up a first impressions on this one where I go over my thoughts on this volume 1 for each of these series. Go check that out if you haven't already, but yeah, my general thoughts for these were that I didn't really enjoy them. Ended up giving Failed Princesses a 6.25 and Our Teachers Are Dating a 5.375. So yeah, move on to the next series. Next up is a series that I think is a lot of fun, and it is How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift. I read volume 4. This was a new release that came out in February, and I think the day or the couple of days after I got it in the mail, I read it, and man, this series just continues to be more and more fun, to be honest. And it's starting to feel kind of like a parody, because I mentioned it in my Instagram, but they're bringing in characters like Arnold. Well, I guess they call him something else, but you know that he's supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. He even has the same name. Let me see if I can find it. Forgot what they called him. So yeah, there's his name, and you can definitely tell that what they were going for here. And then his sidekick here, he is supposed to be Jason Statham. Let's see what they call him here. All right, so there's his name here. They kept the first name actually, so Jason, but his last name was Statham. So yeah, I'm just waiting for volume 5 where they're gonna introduce Rambo somehow. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do that at some point, but yeah, I still find it to be very funny. I love all of the characters, and as I've shown you guys here, I love the art style as well. I think they do a really good job with the art. So yeah, love this series, and I ended up giving it a 7.75 out of 10. All right, next up we got Soul Eater, and this is actually one that I started reading in January. I read like the first 2 chapters, but then I put it down because I just wanted to finish the quintessential quintuplets first, and then I didn't come back to it. I realized sort of in the middle of the month of February that I never finished this one, so I picked it up, and I didn't put it down because it was bad or anything. I just really wanted to finish the quintessential quintuplets, and yeah, once I read this one, I'm really liking Soul Eater. I think it's a really fun series. I really like the art style. This is another one that has a really gothic feel to it, but this one just for completely different reasons. It's more for like the environment that they draw around all of the characters, and just the way some of the characters are drawn as well. It's not because of the art style itself. I mean, the art style, it actually also uses a bunch of whites, but I like it here in this case. They do also, the way that they use their blacks, because of the paper quality, it just looks really inky, and I really do like it when they do incorporate the blacks into the manga as well. But as you can see here, it's a lot of whites as well, so there's not too much shading or anything like that, but I still really enjoy it, and I think the action is actually drawn really well as well. I'm actually able to follow it pretty well, because there are some where the action is pretty hard to follow, but in this one, I think they do a pretty good job with the action, and yeah, still got a long way to go to complete this one, but I will be reading them as they are released, and this was another great addition. I rated this one a 7.75 out of 10. Alright, then I actually did read another Yuri series. So this is the 3rd one, and again, didn't really enjoy this one. Although actually the first volume wasn't too bad. I was actually enjoying it with the first volume, and I got a little bit excited. I was like, oh, this one's turning out to be really good. I really enjoyed the art style in this first one. I thought that the art was really good. As you guys can see here, it's pretty nice. And the story here was pretty interesting. So Iris here, she's actually a werewolf, and Fine, she is a vampire. They don't call them vampires in this story. I think they also call them wolves or something like that, but they're vampires. The interesting thing here is that she loves Iris, so but Iris's motivation for being with her is that eventually, once Fine figures out how to reverse her transformation and become human again, Fine's plan is actually to devour her. So that was an interesting dynamic there. I thought it was pretty interesting in this first volume. But then when we went to the second volume, I don't know what happened, but everything just went downhill in the second volume. It went full on Yuri in the first couple of chapters, which was pretty weird compared to what we saw in the first volume. And then towards the end, it just felt really rushed. And I don't know what happened. I thought this was going to be a continuing series, but it actually seems like they ended it with this second volume, and it was a really rushed ending, and in my opinion, it was not well done. So yeah, I really didn't enjoy this second volume. But I think overall I did enjoy this series more than the other two Yuri series that I read. So I ended up rating this one a 6.7 out of 10. But yeah, I am not planning to keep this one. I'm probably going to try and sell it off on Mercari. So yeah, let's move on to the next series. Alright, so we're moving on to the last two series, and these last two series, I actually wasn't planning on reading these. These were not originally in my TBR stack for February, but the whole thing happened with the outages here in Texas, and we ended up having to leave our home, so I didn't take any of my manga with me. But my sister-in-law, she decided, hey, can I take some of your manga to read over there? Because we did go to a friend's house and we didn't know how long we were gonna stay, so she wanted to take some manga, and she ended up taking these. So since she took them, I ended up reading them as well, and I'm actually pretty glad that I read them. But I enjoyed both of these very much, actually. And the first one is Spy Family. So I read Spy Family first. It was also the first one that my sister-in-law read, and she was really enjoying it. So as soon as she was done, I picked it up as well, and man, this really was a good ride. And I won't talk too much about the story because I'm pretty sure everyone has read it by this point. I've already seen everybody talk about it. All the manga tubers have already talked about it, but I will just talk about the characters because I really do love the characters, especially Anya. She's just the cutest little psychic girl, and I really love her expressions, especially her smile. I don't know if I'll find it here, but I thought it was really funny when she was going to school and she was trying to make friends, and she's trying to remember, like, oh, just keep a smile and people will like you. And she had this really creepy smile. But yeah, this was the smile that I was talking about. This was a really funny moment in the series. And so yeah, I'm definitely now on the hype train with this one, and I will continue to pick up more volumes as they're being released. This is just one of my new favorite shonen series. So yeah, what did I rate this one? Let me see. Okay, pretty high. This one, I rated all of them the same, so they're all a 7.875 out of 10. Alright, and then the last series that I read in February was Sweat and Soap. So I did read volumes 1 through 4. I just picked up volume 5 towards the end of the month, so I'm currently reading that one now. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this series. A lot of people also say really good things about this one, and now I understand why. The relationship between these two, Asako and Kotaro, really is one of the best relationships I've seen so far in manga, and even in like films or anything like that. I just think it's a really nice progression of a couple here, and they're both really mature, and I really love the way that Kotaro treats Asako. And I haven't really talked about the story, but for those of you who haven't heard yet or haven't started reading this series, but at the beginning of the series, Asako, she's a young woman who has a huge secret. She's actually very sweaty. So she hides that really well because of the company that she works at. I think they're called Lila Drop. But they make this soap, and she uses it. She loves the soap because it really does help her hide her smell. She is really self-conscious about her smell, so she uses this soap to conceal that. And she's always also wiping because she sweats a lot. And one day, Kotaro, he's the product development at the company, so he works on actually making the soaps. And she does end up catching a whiff of her, and at first she's freaking out. She's not sure whether she thinks she smells bad or if he likes it. But Kotaro does ask her to allow him to smell her every day. And he does this because he's working on a new product, and her smell is actually motivating him to produce that new product. So yeah, that's kind of where the story starts, and then from there they do eventually become a couple. And I really do like Asako just kind of growing in this relationship and becoming more confident in herself and and in the relationship, because it seems like she hasn't really been in too many relationships, and I don't think any actually. He might be her first boyfriend, but yeah, I feel like every volume does tackle a new hurdle that new couples generally have towards the beginning of the relationship. Like volume 1 was just the very beginning of their relationship, and then in volume 2 we did sort of see this volume tackle jealousy, and then in volume 3 they started to travel together, which was something new for them as well. And then now in volume 4 and 5 we're already having them meet the parents and the family. So yeah, I think they're really doing a good job progressing the relationship, and it all feels really real, unlike Our Teachers Are Dating, where everything just felt fake. It didn't feel real, but in this case they did a much better job, and I am really enjoying this one. And it's another series that I'm going to continue to pick up, and I ended up giving this one, so far this series I've rated it a 7.625 out of 10. Alright, so here's the final look at the 28 volumes that I read this month. For the month of March, I'm not giving myself that same challenge of reading one volume every day, and the main reason is because I am trying to finish up or I am gonna be tackling a huge series. I did mention it on my Instagram, but the series that I want to finish in March is this one right here, Monster. This will be my first work by Naoki Urasawa, and I've heard nothing but great things. And yeah, these are pretty thick volumes, so I'm gonna take my time reading these. So if I can at least just finish reading this series, I think I'll be... Oh man, I just noticed I have a little dent there. But yeah, if I can finish this series in March, I'll be happy. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this reading log. Let me know what you think about the series that I've read, or let me know what you guys read this past month in February. And yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.